After this record-breaking hot summer, I'm ready to learn more about climate solutions that work for our community. If you're feeling the heat, check out the Idaho Women's Charitable Foundation's LEAD Symposium. On October 2nd at the Boise Center, hear from climate scientist Dr. Jonathan Foley of Project Drawdown and nonprofit leader Dana Gunders from ReFed. Don't miss out on this chance to learn how to make a real impact. Buy your tickets at iwcfgives.org. That's iwcfgives.org.
Today on CityCast Boise, eating out is so expensive these days, but we've cracked the code. Our Hey Boise newsletter editor, Blake Hunter, has compiled a list of $10 meals that support local restaurants and keep you within your budget. From breakfast sandos to lunch specials and downtown dinners, these tips are truly worth every penny. It's Wednesday, August 14th. I'm Frankie Barnhill, filling in for Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. I'd love to do this exercise where we set a budget for ourselves of $30 a day, so $10 per meal. We won't include drinks, although if you find a way to slip in a drink under $10 per meal, bonus points for sure. But I don't know. Let's do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner thing.
Let's do it.
Okay. Breakfast.
I just kind of recently realized that the top of my list for this would actually be Good Times Bagels. Their breakfast sandwiches run around like $7 or $8. And you can, it's not just like a bagel and a schmear. You can fully get like an egg cheese sandwich for like $8, which seems really, really solid to me, to be honest. Also, I think that their favorite sandwich that they have of mine is a like chorizo sandwich, chorizo and egg sandwich. So that breakfast sandwich I think really hits. And you can, kind of squeak out of there with like under $10. So maybe you can get yourself a drink, but I mean, everybody knows the price of a latte these days. We don't need to harp on that. So just know that if you want to do that, you'll be going over. But you can like just get the sandwich and tip 20%. I was just going to say. And get out with $10. So
there you go. There you go. Yeah. Bring coffee from home, I suppose. Could work. You know, I'm going to throw out an OG bagel spot. Blue Sky. I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you can still get a good locally made breakfast sandwich, a bagel sandwich from Blue Sky Bagels. And definitely under that $10 mark. And I believe you can get a drip coffee and still have a little bit of money left over for tip as well. So a couple of bagel sandwich options. That's great.
And they've got those punch cards that like are actually worth it. Like genuinely worth it. Yeah.
So true. So true. The punch cards are great. Okay, good. We're starting off well
some
with
bagels
breakfast.
To start
we
with.
Made it. Yes. How about lunch? Where would you recommend?
For lunch, one of my favorites is Tango's Empanadas. So that's where I'm going to go. You can get a couple of empanadas there for easily under $10. I recommend, if you're new to empanadas, I think that you should try kind of one of like the Argentinian classics. So go with either the Cusco, which is vegetarian, the El Puerco, which has pork, or the Gaucho, which has beef. If you're not familiar, it's just like some sort of filling within just like a pastry shell that's wrapped and fried. And they're so delicious. I think that honestly, my favorite is El Puerco, because it has like potatoes and like salsa verde in it. It's really good.
That is fabulous. Yeah, such a staple on the bench on Orchard 100%. Street, of course. I think lunch, I mean, I guess depends on what you're doing the rest of your day, but are empanadas heavy though? Like, I suppose the vegetarian one might feel a little bit lighter.
Honestly, probably not, because the vegetarian ones all have cheese. So, but
Fair
at the
enough.
same time, I think that like, just get two. And maybe you'll be okay. However, if like one friend is going to empanadas, you're like going on a little lunch date. One other person can run across the road to Foodland Market, which is like the Mediterranean restaurant and grocery store. So you can kind of mix and match your vibes because they have a bunch of like, well, one, they have a bunch of appetizers. So you could get like some sort of veggie side, a hummus plate or something like that to make sure that it's like you're getting a little bit of vegetables, you're getting some protein, hummus and whatnot. So you can kind of mix and match with a friend, which I think is helpful. But they also have like more substantial options. They have kebab and shawarma that are all under $10 too. So if empanadas, like a fried thing, is maybe not your vibe for lunch, I understand. So maybe you can go across the street to Foodland.
Oh, Foodland is so clutch. That's such
So
a smart
good.
idea. Yeah, even like their chicken tikka salad, right? For
Yes, yeah.
a nice lighter lunch, grilled chicken, lettuce, cucumber, tomato, onion, and your choice of dressing, it says on the website. Sounds great. I want it now. Shawarma salad. Oh my gosh. Yes,
I know.
please.
It's really good. It's really, really good. Yeah.
So between Tangos and Foodland, we're really covered right there on Orchard Street for lunch. Great.
Yeah.
Let's talk dinner, because dinner is when I would think, most people would want to sit down, which of course, when you're thinking about sit down spots, I'm definitely not thinking that I can find a $10 meal at a place where I can actually sit down and like hang out for a second. Is it possible? Let's say you want to go to, you're going to dinner with your roommate and you want to have a nice experience, nice enough experience, but still keep it in that range. Is it possible?
It's tough. Not gonna lie, it's a little
Yep.
bit tough. I think that there's a lot of for actually being able to sit down, because again, you're paying for another level of service, and
Yep.
you're paying for the space. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. I think that there are lots of places on this list that I wrote up that are very serviceable for a dinner, that like grab something and take it to a park, grab something, take it home, take it over to a friend's house, like that kind of thing. It totally works. But for sit down, I think that my top favorite, which this is terribly predictable for us to be talking about this on the podcast, I would have to go with Bar Guernica.
There it is.
It was a matter of time. I think that I would get a chorizo and fries and convince myself to go over the $30 budget and split some croquetas with a friend.
Yep.
And you're not going to be disappointed. I think that Bar Guernica is such a special little place because it just like, it rejects a lot of the development that's happening in downtown Boise in a really precious way. It feels like a European pub, and I think it's a gem. I think that it's a great people watching spot because it's just like right in the middle of everything downtown, and it's still cheap. Like they're proving that you can still do downtown cheap. They have like their grilled cheese and their burgers, and also like their soup and salad are all below $10. So
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but spent many a nights there, I know. Yeah.
One of my very favorite places in the world. And just so consistent. So
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
go a little bit above that $30 budget, tip well, and also have croquetas. I think that makes sense to me. Another one that's actually Basque Block, you can get away with a lot of stuff at Bardonnay, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right in that $10 range. I mean, you can certainly do like the half sandwiches for under 10. There's some appetizers that are like maybe tipping on the, $11, $12 scale, but that's hard to come by in downtown Boise anywhere. So the fact that they've been able to keep their prices where they are, I don't know. They figured something out at least.
Hey everyone, it's me, Drew Offwallow, host of the Comment Section Show. Come join me and one of my iconic special guests every week on the show as we dive into the dreaded comment sections of our tagged videos and take down the most terrible men on the internet, period. Somehow, they won't go away no matter what I do, no matter how incredibly awful and mean I am to them, but I don't mind doing this work. In fact, if I'm being honest, I think it's God's work. So make sure y'all follow me on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes every Wednesday.
The land down under has never been easier to reach. United Airlines has more flights between the U.S. and Australia than any other U.S. airline, so you can fly nonstop to destinations like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Explore dazzling cities, savor the very best of Aussie cuisine, and get up close and personal with the wildlife. Who doesn't want to hold a koala? Go to united.com/Australia to book your adventure.
Okay, so yeah, I already kind of talked about this a bit, just like the level of service that you're expecting when you sit down at a restaurant, your water's coming to your table, or someone's checking on you and you tip and want to treat folks appropriately while you're actually staying in their restaurant for a minute and not just taking things to go. But are there other places besides what we've mentioned already where you can sit down and have a relatively inexpensive meal in that $10 to $15 range?
Yeah, so one hidden gem for sure is Z's Rooftop Cafe. I'm kind of astonished by this place. I don't really know how it runs. So it's like right in the middle of downtown. I think that it's, I would say, like the best publicly accessible rooftop, other than like, I don't know, the top of a parking garage or something.
Yeah.
And their food is kind of like, it's really cheap. Great service. It's like lunch fare. They're only open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it's
Right.
just like, it's just lunch. That's all you're getting there. But I mean, all of their lunch options, like they have a gyro, they have like a BLT, but with avocado on it, which like,
Ooh.
I've been to places in Boise right now that are charging $18 for that. They're charging $9.
So true.
And all of their options are below $10. So I think that that's a really good one for a nice, like, light-ish lunch spot.
And talk about a place with a view too. Like you'd feel like they'd charge like $2 just for the view or something.
They're kind of in their own little world up there. It seems like they're not following the rules that everyone else is going by.
Down below on the ground. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You did a whole piece too on Broadway Avenue spots and. Yeah. Just different parts of the bench we've been talking, which is great, to the fact that we can include some downtown spots because the real estate there is going to be premium and that figures into the menu and how much things cost. But any other spot where you like to sit and actually enjoy a meal, whether by yourself or with someone else?
I think it's a little bit less service, but definitely still a great place to sit down and kind of chit-chat is Zeppelis. Obviously a staple of the community, making their own bread and all that. They're definitely one of my favorite bakeries in town. But they also serve up like whole sandwiches for about $8. Hot sandwiches run a little bit more. You're looking at like $11. And so you're not getting like that sit-down service like vibe, but it's still a nice space. And that, of course, that's over, in East Boise. It's on Apple Street, so not technically Bound Crossing, but over in that area, that's a really nice one.
Yeah. And then, of course, the 8th Street location, too. So a couple options there. That's great. Yeah. And, one of the things in your Hey Boise article is that you did break things down by geography, by different neighborhoods. And, I think about Boise being a place as a mid-sized city that's getting better at this, where there are more like neighborhood places for people who live in the neighborhoods, that they go to those spots over and over and over again. They found their favorite taco spot. They found their favorite Mediterranean spot, whatever it is. So is it clear to you that there are certain neighborhoods that just have really good deals and good places to eat?
Yeah, like you said, we've been talking about the bench and how the bench is maybe overshadowed in a lot of ways by downtown's kind of flashier food options, which of course, like downtown's more walkable, like the real estate is higher, like that all makes sense. But I think that the bench, and particularly, I guess I'm talking about like the Central and Vista bench, not like the West bench.
Yeah.
Although the West bench, I have a section on that too in the article that like there's a lot of really good options for that there. But I would say the Central and Vista bench area kind of takes the cake over downtown for me, not just because it's cheap, but because it's much more diverse.
Yes.
Downtown, I'm going to be a little shady for a second. I think that there are a lot of really cool and fun new restaurants going on downtown. I'm a little bit tired of people half committing to the Italian bit, and Boise is just eating up this half-baked Italian food that has kind of like some sort of flair on it. And I think that we have a lot of that in downtown right now. Like, I'm not going to call any names out, but like people know what I'm talking about. And I just think it's great, but I think that it's really limiting the diversity of food that we have in downtown. And it's a bummer. I think that needs to change. I think that like these places are taking a lot of really good farm fresh food, trying to be very intentional and working locally, and doing a great job of that, but then spinning it into, again, half-baked Italian. So that's my diatribe on that. But I think that because of that, I mean, you're talking about on the bench, we have Tango's Empanadas, we have Foodland Market, Baguette Deli is another one that's has banh mi, Bad Boy Burgers, which is another really good nod for breakfast, like breakfast burritos, and they have breakfast sandwiches that are like ridiculously cheap, like $5 or $6. Yeah, it's bonkers. Yeah. And those are just the 4 that I threw in this article, and I cut several others out from the list in the like Central and Vista bench. And so I think for that reason, actually, it's like kind of head and shoulders above downtown to me.
Yeah. And I think the part that you mentioned about the diversity of the places, the regions where these foods have come from, the people who are running them, it's definitely the spot. The only bummer is that it's not as walkable, not as easy to get around necessarily. But the people who live in these neighborhoods, like, lucky them. They have these places right in their back door.
Yeah, they've really got it dialed in, and I think that it's really worth the like bike ride up there, or like even if you have to drive, like grab a couple friends from work and go up for lunch, check out some of these places, because like it's well worth it.
Yeah, I wonder too. This is to be determined big time, but with the new zoning code, kind of trying to create more opportunities for like mixed use options throughout the city. And I'm wondering, like, will that hinder or help with this effort, or the idea of getting more and more diverse foods and more, hopefully, inexpensive options that are still local, still good in more and more neighborhoods? What do you think?
I think that it's 2 things. I think that it's both, hopefully, fingers crossed, new places, and number 2, these places that already exist, like these incredible restaurants and incredible neighborhoods that already exist, just need to become more accessible to anything but a car. Yeah. Please. Like that's basically the ask. And so I think that maybe this is naive of me to say, and I'm sure that someone might be screaming in their car as I say this, but like I don't see how the zoning code can really hurt those efforts at this point. We haven't seen evidence of that yet. And so I think that, I really hope that the zoning code allows more places to pop up. I think especially about places like East Boise, that like it's really easy, and also Southwest Boise, like it's really easy. And the West Bench. Okay, I'm done. But you just there are so many places that like it turns into a locally made, locally produced food desert really quickly. Where I think about Ustick, where like there are so many. It's this huge, really long street, but there are so many like fast food places on it, and just not a lot of locally made stuff. And that's a really big bummer, because around it you have all of these neighborhoods that have like that old timey vibe. I was just recently talking to the owners of the Common Ground Coffee and Market about this, where they were like, the neighborhood around this street and this road is so ready to support new local owners and locally produced stuff. And so it's just about like making it possible. So I'm feeling a little bit optimistic about it right now, about the possibility that, we might be able to see more of this, but it's also an accessibility thing where it needs to be, we need to be able to get to these places.
Okay. You've mentioned so many great things. Is there anything else that you feel like people should know about to, stick with this $10-ish budget?
Okay. I do have one. I have a hidden gem again that I had a friend who just recently like moved back from Michigan, and they took me to Fiesta Chicken.
Oh, I've never been there.
Okay. Reddit has mixed feelings about it.
Okay.
Apparently one of their locations, and also like these comments were like from like 2 years ago. So
fair.
I don't know. We don't know.
Whatever.
But like one of their locations is apparently hit or miss according to Reddit, but that's Reddit. So, but Fiesta Chicken has just like, they specialize in grilled chicken, and they literally have just like a whole wall of grills in the back, and just like full spatchcock chickens on the back.
Wow.
And as like a chicken lover, I'm so into it. It's so good. They also have a drive-through. They have 2 different locations. And then they also have like enchiladas, tacos, burritos. And you can get like a 2-piece chicken with a side. of like rice and beans and maybe something else for like easily under $10. The other thing that they have is they have huge family platters, like 12 pieces of chicken with 3 large sides for like $20 to $25. I don't know how I didn't know about Fiesta Chicken beforehand, but I'm really into it.
Okay, I've heard about this place forever. I know someone who loves it. So you're the second person that I've heard from who says that this is the spot. And yeah, looking at the photos, looks delish. And I guess there's a reason why it's been around and why people have strong feelings about it. So
Yeah, it's amazing.
all right. Well, I'm hungry and I'm under budget, so that's great. Thank you so much, Blake. We'll be sure to put the article that you wrote with a bunch of ideas, including plenty that we mentioned and some that we didn't, in the show notes. So thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to CityCast Boise today. Do you have a $10 meal suggestion that we forgot? Email us your recommendation, boise@citycast.fm. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with a heated debate about parking meters in the Treasure Valley. See you then.